guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So Cell Max is out on both Global and JP Dokkan. Seems like people are enjoying the event, although he is very tough, right? I've seen some people sort of like, upset at how hard he is. A lot of people do like it though, but the thing about this Cell Max event is there is no limit. There is no restriction. There is no stamina cost. There is nothing. It's just you can try it infinite amount of times you like against a very tough boss. Some people do get salty that they're not able to beat the hardest fight the game has ever dropped within 1 second, but remember, they are trying to get people to spend, right? Like I'm able to beat it easily and then no item it pretty easily because I have everything maxed out, right? I've got full link levels, rainbows, equips, all that, because I've, put the money into the game. That's what Dokkan wants people to do, right? And then they're slowly going to release characters that are going to destroy this. Cooler and Goku drop in about a week. I imagine that they are going to be very good for this, and that is the point. They drop this difficult content sort of on the brink of what, might be possible, and they want people to buy the new units. It's not hard to grasp. It's, we go through this every single time. But I have no issue with this event whatsoever, because no stamina cost, no limits, nothing. You just do it as many times as you want. I just don't think that there's an issue with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stats for Cell Max. We have the other threads pulled up that we could look at some of the really, really tough bosses here as well. Here is the Omega one. And then we could take a look at Broly and Omega and sort of compare these powerful Red Zone bosses to Cell Max and sort of see how strong they are comparatively. Alright, so the thing that's interesting about Cell Max, right, is that it's a 3-phase fight, but the first 2 phases are literally nothing, right? Like, look at his stats. 80,000 attack in phase 1, 135,000 attack in phase 2. Like, he's a joke, right? Like, again, let's compare this to Omega and Broly. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Omega and Broly are looking like in their earlier phases. Here, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so here's Omega in phase 1. He's at 220,000, right? And then his SA damage 660,000. Like, you can see the huge sort of differences here. Only like Cell Max's super attack is hitting as hard as the first phase's normal attack, right? So you can just see that, like, the thing about these Red Zone fights is that it's a full fight of many phases of a tough enemy. Whereas this Cell Max, the first phase is nothing, the second phase is nothing, but then the third phase is where Cell Max is actually, like, stronger than Broly and Omega, right? Because if we take a look at Omega, who is the previous toughest boss, 450,000 on normals, toughest bosses and just, like, raw damage numbers, stuff like that, right? Whereas Cell Max is at 530,000. Quite a bit extra damage, right? Remember that Cell Max, of course, is an extreme type unit, so superclass units will take more damage. They need higher defense to be able to tank compared to extreme class units, right? And then, let's take a look at Cell Max's super attack damage. 1.9, essentially. Like, that's the amount of defense you need to tank type neutral, right? So then we see this Omega 1.575, and then Broly is at 1.2. Now, here's what's really crazy, though, right? So Broly could do 1.2 million damage on a super attack, but he could do multiple in a turn, right? Omega hits way harder, but he has a countdown super attack. You always know where it is. Cell Max doesn't have a countdown, and he gets super twice per turn, just like Broly. We could see in his third phase right here, he sometimes will lock, 50% chance to lock a random slot, okay, and then sometimes he will double super attack, right? So, Cell Max is really tough once you get to that final phase, and he has 60 million HP, which, the final phase of Omega has 35, and the final phase of Broly has 50 million. So, Cell Max is hitting harder with more HP than Broly and Omega. To me, this makes sense. Global, it ends up being kind of a little weird, just because Broly and Omega are like not even a month old yet, right? Whereas on GP, remember Broly and Omega have been the toughest bosses for 7 months now. So it's like, yeah, now we have a new hardest fight. I do like this because last year they didn't really up difficulty much. They dropped the God event, which was kind of the like just the strongest sort of event, I think, until sort of like Red Zone, right? Like they dropped some extreme Super Battle Road stages that were tough, but it's like those were like very similar design to the God event. So it was pretty much kind of the same thing. Whereas like here, like now we're actually like having more difficult content. I figured that they would do this too, right? Like people got a little bit too comfortable with saying like, oh my god, so we're just gonna pretend like only Red Zone matters now. That's the only thing that matters. And, you know, they're gonna drop difficult content that's going to go above what they were at before. It's not hard to grasp. 200% leader skills is why. For years, 150%, 170% leader skills, you know, that they were just building around. Now, it's different. You know, there's higher leader skills, so they're not scared to sort of really push the envelope and make these events very difficult. Again, people will get upset that they can't completely destroy the hardest event in the game 100% free to play instantly with no effort, but that's not, again, they want people to spend money, man. It's not hard to figure out, right? So here is Cell Max. Now, because there's no restrictions, you can just do as many tries as you want, and even though Cell Max is very difficult, he is certainly not impossible, right? There are several characters, which are pretty easy to obtain. One of them, the third character I have right here, this is obviously a very new Dokkan Fest. I don't think they've even returned on Global, the androids. Have they? Have the androids returned on Global? I don't think they have. But the androids can do a very, like, okay, let's start with Hercule. So, a lot of people are using Hercule. One of the big things about Hercule and what makes him so effective in this fight is that Cell Max at the end is a tech-type character, right? So, the thing about Cell Max being a tech-type character is that means we want to flood this fight with int-type characters. That's why, like, Namek Goku can be effective, right? Because if you're able to get a lot of super attacks in, since there's a couple of sort of like dead phases, right? Typically in a lot of Red Zone fights, Namek Goku could get obliterated in like the first phase. In this fight, though, that's not the case, right? And in this second phase, remember that Cell Max does an AoE, right? Which he often is doing a bunch of AoEs. That will allow you to potentially get the very rare turn where you could quadruple super with Namek Goku, right? So you can really build him up to where, like, you can live a super from Cell Max at the end. I mean, my Namek Goku did survive a super. He took 600,000 damage, but guess what? 200% leader skills. We had over 600,000 HP, so I was able to live, right? So int characters are going to be far more effective in here because of the fact that Cell Max is tech. Let me actually pull up my no item run just so I could just quickly show the characters I used. There's several other characters that also would have been fine in a bunch of these no item runs. Like I saw a lot of people are using like int Vegito and stuff like that. Yeah, so here is my no item run, right? So Vegeta and Trunks, I thought very clearly were already the best unit in the game even before this. Now I feel like this just further cements it, right? Tech God Goku is very good. He could take a lot of damage in here, but it's like he's still living like way better than almost any character, right? Vegeta and Trunks, I think, are the best unit in the game, and a lot of times Cell Max was supering them for 300,000 plus, right? It's very difficult to actually really tank this guy. Fusion Zamasu felt very strong in here, even without big bad bosses. He was able to be very effective. The LR gods are still really, really good. I was able to have a turn where they were double-digit tanking Cell Max, right? Their defense was able to get high enough after, you know, triple supering and stuff like that. And then Namek Goku and Majin Vegeta. Of course, remember, int characters are going to be able to tank Cell Max way more effectively. And then, you know, remember, you guys know I've given int Majin Vegeta the full dodge build for a reason, right? So, like, just trying to flood as many int characters on there as you can is really good. I saw a lot of people using the int 3rd year anniversary Vegito, which, of course, can be a very good, I think, pick for this team as well, this run. Because, you know, you will take a lot of damage, then you'll get that reset Int Vegito with his damage reduction, getting his 18 key super first, should be able to take some hits from Cell Max as well as doing a lot of damage. And that takes us back to Int Hercule right here. So Int Hercule has a couple of things that are really effective here. Number one, he has a high chance to dodge. So the thing about Cell Max is you can dodge him. And oftentimes, most characters in the game can't really tank these hits anyway. So dodging characters are a very smart way to go about this, right? So, you know, I saw people beating this with like LRUI Goku on the team, like without a leader skill, right? Because it's like, if him or any of these characters get hit anyway, you're pretty much dead. So it's just like relying on the dodge could be a good way to go about it. Dodge probably would feel less frustrating here too, considering there is no limit to the stage, right? It's not like, oh my god, UI Goku didn't dodge, now I gotta wait till tomorrow. Nothing like that, right? You just do infinite attempts. But between his dodge and then his damage reduction, Hercule can be very effective in here. Many people are using Hercule to win. And the other thing about Hercule is that he's been out for a very long time. It's not like this is a new character or anything like that. So that's going to be very good for people. So dodging and then this damage reduction combo is very, very effective. And I don't even know that you would really need him with a leader skill, right? Like these abilities probably would hold up even without a leader skill for Int Hercule, so he could be very effective for people. A lot of people are able to make good use out of PyCon as well. There's two reasons PyCon can be very solid here. Well, I guess three. The third, of course, being that he can give the support to Superclass allies, which of course can be very helpful. But there's two main reasons. Number one is he can have a high chance to dodge. So, you know, even if Cell Max is going to get a hit off or two on him, you can dodge it. But he does also have this, his active skill, right? So, if you get to a phase against Cell Max, and he has 50% or more HP, you can Ghost Usher him, then float PyCon off, and then hopefully you won't have to see him, you know, until Cell Max is dead, basically. You can get caught even through this, though. There's a potential that you Ghost Usher, and then PyCon ends up still on the rotation, right? With Cell Max, like, having a little bit of health left. Or it's even possible that you get to Cell Max, and by the time you reach Tech Cell Max, his HP is under 50%, so you can no longer use PyCon's Ghost Usher. It is possible, but PyCon can help out, because the other thing about Cell Max, remember, man, this event, so many things I've been telling people while they're screaming at me have come true, right? Like, yeah, guess one way Dokkan is making these events harder. They're limiting items. Like, it's not hard to tell that that's the way they're going down when they've been slowly limiting items anyway. You can only bring Senzu beans into this, which makes sense in the context of the movie, right? The Senzu could help you in two ways. You could, of course, full heal, but you can also use the Senzu to remove Cell Max's lock. Cell Max can lock you, and then you could use the Senzu, and that will heal the lock. It will fix it, right? So that's another way you can use that. To sort of get around that. But you're not able to use things like Ghost Ushers, Whis Item, Princess Snake, right? So using characters that can use those abilities, like PyCon has a Ghost Usher, and then of course the tech androids also have a Ghost Usher, that is a very effective strategy. The androids, many JP players have used the androids to get very, very far in various EZA events. And it's a similar concept here, right? The androids, even more so though, you can get them on Vegeta and Trunks' future team, right? Because they lead Future and bond a parent and child. So you can honestly lead a pretty nasty team, androids using their Ghost Usher as well. So these are just a couple of very effective units who can sort of just like help you turn the tides against our boy Cell Max. I did see a couple of other interesting runs, right? Most of the runs I saw like Goresh beat it, I believe, with the LR Gods. Most people are using like the LR Gods and stuff like that to sort of win this, right? The typical units, Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, LR Super Saiyan 4s, LR EZ Super Saiyan 4s, stuff like that. I did see a couple of runs, like here, this guy was able to get this done with the Ginyu Force team, right? Definitely very impressive right there. I feel like you would definitely need a little bit of luck to get this done. Because Captain AGL Ginyu, he's not going to be able to tank in here. You probably would be more so relying on Goku Ginyu and his potential dodge, right? But like Rikumen, Goldo, Berter, and Jace, I think dodging is a huge portion of this, right? Like, I would imagine for this run to go successful, Berter and Jace getting a dodge was just like a huge thing. We have a bunch of runs, clears. Here's a Trunks and Goten by Gale. You gotta love that. Yeah, Trunks and Goten is another dodge character. Evolution Blue Vegeta certainly can be very effective in here because you could use his revive, right? I know some people were able to use the revive to help them against like Red Zone Broly and stuff like that, and that could be very good in here as well, right? Vegeta takes his 7 hits, and then you get to one of these turns, you know, maybe you have LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, do a bunch of attacks, and then like Vegeta or another character on the rotation dies at that point, right? You know, that could work out very well. But notice, a lot of the teams are going to be just like a very, very similar sort of like lineup, right? In characters, the 7th anniversary LR is still up there. I saw a lot of people talking about how it seems like the 7th anniversary LRs were power crept, but again, remember that the 7th anniversary LRs are not a month old on JP, they're 7 months old. I still do like them dropping this on Global and JP at the same time, though. It certainly, to me, I think feels more fun that Global players and JP players are able to experience this at the same time. Now, a lot of people were mad, like, oh, JP, you guys get to use Vegeta and Trunks. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But, hey, it is what it is. See, Global players, y'all are winning anyway. You know, look at all these dubs right here, right? It's not like only JP players are winning. And remember, there's no restrictions towards doing the event, so people were able to just do it, and get it done. So let me know what you guys think of our boy Cell Max. Currently the toughest fight in the game, I would say. I don't know. I mean, you could maybe make an argument for Broly or Omega or something like that as being a tougher fight. I think you certainly could. Because, like, they're, like, a bunch of phases of a real fight, and they're limited, right? Whereas, like, Cell Max, again, it's just infinite attempts. You just jump in and do it as many times as you want. So, let me know what you guys think of Cell Max. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.